Hey, Enson, just before we go on, because clearly we're having a lot more technical difficulties, we can just do this through audio. So if you click that button that I told you to click earlier, can you just swipe it all the way to the left?
Okay. Okay.
All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, yeah. Because, yeah, that's just better. That way, less lag, I think.
Okay, so there's no video.
I think.
We run a very tight ship here.
Enson, can you hear us okay now?
Good, man.
Okay, so
Yeah,
apologies everyone.
Fine.
All right,
Okay.
Apologies everyone. You won't get to see Enson's face due to technical difficulties, but you can hear him.
All right, so it's getting back on track here. Okay, awesome, man. Rami.
Yeah, so quickly, just to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, veryhardtosubmit.com. You can check them out, veryhardtosubmit.com. They have gis and stuff. This is right off the cuff because we've never had technical difficulties on air. But yeah, check them out. They're awesome.
All right. So just reintroduce the regular panel members for anybody who's not familiar. We have Ahmed Tarani, we have Jordan Short, we have Rami Tarani, and we have myself, Adam Cousins. So Enson, maybe if you could just start by kind of giving us a brief walkthrough of your sort of martial arts journey. I know it's been kind of your whole life, but if you could just kind of give us a walkthrough of how that's been for you.
I started fighting in Shooto. Actually, I started training Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then I went into, got my black belt in that, went into Shooto, won the heavyweight championship in Shooto, and then went on from there to fight in Pride and a UFC. That's about it.
Say it just like that. That's really understating it.
Yeah.
Can we start with your jiu-jitsu? How long had you been training before you got your black belt? At what point did you actually start wanting to fight MMA? What was the progression through jiu-jitsu?
You were what, sorry?
My process to the black belt was probably the longest. My process to the black belt was kind of funny because I didn't enter one jiu-jitsu tournament in my life, and I got my black belt. Pretty cool, huh?
Holy crap!
How many years was that?
I trained in as. Geez, well, I started training with Helsing Gracie in Hawaii, and then I got my purple with Helsing in about 2 years, I think, and then I moved to Japan, and there was I think there was a 5-year break where I just stayed at purple, trained back and forth with every time I came home. Went to the Machados, got my brown from the Machados, and I only got my brown from the Machados because Egan just won the Worlds in the purple and was getting promoted to brown, and Higgins said, "Hey, you're at the same level as Egan, you should put on the brown too." So I put on the brown. 1998, I beat Randy Couture, and I got offered to be promoted to black from Penederis and Nova Union. And of course, I accepted, and I'm probably the only guy in this whole world, in this whole planet, that's got their black belt without entering one jiu-jitsu tournament.
So you got your black belt for that sweet armbar in Randy Couture, the belly down armbar, and then you got your black belt immediately right after that.
Yes, right away. So I got it given to me by John Lewis.
So, what affiliation do you kind of consider yourself to be under right now, or do you even see yourself as that? Because you've been with, you said Helson, then Machado, then you said, what was the last one? It was under Nova Union, right? Yeah, John Lewis. What do you consider yourself under any of those affiliations?
Well, if I were to ever do a jiu-jitsu tournament, which I probably would never do, I'd consider myself as Nova Union because they're the ones who gave me my black belt, which is my last belt. However, I do respect jiu-jitsu, and I do respect the belt process. And to tell you the truth, I don't really feel like I'm a legitimate black belt.
Like,
Well,
what kind of makes you say that?
Well, I haven't kept up with the process. You know, as you know, jiu-jitsu has this growth every year, and if you're not in the groove of it, you're going to be pretty much left back on the new techniques. When I went on the walk with Mike Fowler and we were doing seminars, I was like just as amazed at his technique as the people who were taking the seminar.
So like is that why you don't want to compete now, or is it just that's never been an interest? I mean, like when I say compete, I mean compete in jiu-jitsu.
Well, I believe I got good basics. I think I got good basics, but as far as competing, I think I could probably hold my own. But I know jiu-jitsu isn't a thing that I would want to do pastime, like a pastime if I decided to do it. It would be a mission, and I think I wouldn't have the time to train and engulf myself in jiu-jitsu as much as I would need to actually be competitive.
We've actually had discussions about being promoted and making it like a criteria of competing at each belt level before you can actually get promoted. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you can go through your whole jiu-jitsu career? I mean, obviously you say you did and that you're probably the only one. Do you feel like you're the exception to the rule?
Hello?
Or really picking up steam too.
Yeah, it was going well, but
Hello, did you guys hear that?
No.
It cut out.
No, we missed that, Enson.
no, it cut out. Sorry.
Okay, I'll say it again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I don't know, when was that rule in place, because I'm an exception to that rule if that rule was happening in '98.
Well, it's not so much a rule. It's just that we have kind of talked about like should competition kind of be a prerequisite for belt progression in jiu-jitsu.
Well, I agree with that.
Okay.
I think it should be.
Okay. Okay. No. I mean, times were different back in '98, I guess. But right now, yeah, it's all about like I'm talking to panel here, guys. Yeah, you know how it is. It's all about legitimacy, and everyone's talking about, oh, if you get your black belt, you need to win worlds and all sorts of impossible scenarios and whatnot. And Enson was beating the shit out of people, and,
with his purple belt.
Yeah, and Pride in UFC, man. Like, so yeah, like, but yeah, it's totally different. Enson, what are your thoughts on sports jiu-jitsu in general? Like, does it interest you? Are you a fan of anybody out there right now?
I think it's awesome, man. I think it's an awesome sport. I think it's one of the few martial arts that you can practice 100% without getting injured. I love it. I'm not necessarily be able to compete in a black belt level, but I definitely have the black belt eye and the black belt mentality, and I can see jiu-jitsu and know jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu.
That's awesome. Speaking of jiu-jitsu, Enson, the collabo between you and Tatami, when you came up with your own gi design, how did that come to be? How did they approach you about that?
Well, actually, one of my brothers, I call brothers in the UK, this guy Craig St. Clair, we call him Highlander. He actually was the one who kind of hooked that up and brought it to me.
Oh, is it something that like the design itself? So he came up with the design, you signed off on it, or did you have any input on that?
Yeah, he brought it up to me, and we kind of discussed making a gi. We discussed the design, and we pretty much simply just went to the same design that I walked out with in Pride 7.
Ah, okay, all right.
So it's actually a replica of that.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Okay. No, it's good. I want to know the story about that one. So we always wrote that down. We're big gi aficionados. You know how it is in jiu-jitsu. Everyone's got like 40 gis or whatever. So
There was a there was a guy that was wearing that gi at the IBJJF Toronto Open last year, and the patch placement is, as you can imagine, not legal, and so they made him cut a bunch of the patches off. It was pretty hard to watch. It's such a nice gi.
yeah, no, that was
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a sad situation. Listen, Ensign, you had mentioned about you just alluded to your walk with Mike Fowler. So maybe you could talk a bit about that. Like, I followed it. Anybody who follows Ensign on Instagram or follows Mike Fowler on Instagram saw you guys basically walking across Japan, essentially backpacking. His shots of you guys with like your shoes worn down right to the soles and. So if maybe you could just talk a bit about your walk across Japan, what it was for, and some stories from that experience.
It was a walk to raise awareness that Japan is still suffering and the people up north are still suffering. So, I mean, because it's not in the news anymore, a lot of people are just thinking that Japan's okay and everything's fine, but the actuality of everything is it's still really bad. There's people that are still causing suicide because of the tidal wave and the earthquake. There's kids that have been orphaned. There's kids that are still being orphaned.
So how did the idea for the walk come to you?
So it's a grave situation, and I decided to make that walk to bring awareness to the people that follow me, which is a lot of people.
So like, where did like?
Well, I was sitting down one day and looking at the map of Japan, and this bizarre idea popped up in my head. Like, I wonder if anyone ever walked from one end to the other.
Well, keep going, Ensign.
Yeah, keep going, Ensign. Sorry, it was just the time lag.
Okay. And then I had this bizarre idea of walking from one end to the other, and it was something that intrigued me. Some feat that I thought I would learn a lot about myself and about the strength of my heart, and I figured I may as well link it to something productive, and I decided to link it to bring awareness to the people of Japan.
And sorry, Adam. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so like, what were kind of your parameters for the walk? Because from the looks of it, I see you guys like you had like kind of some backpacks, some rolling suitcases. It looked like you were just kind of like living by whatever you could find, whatever people gave you. Was that kind of how that worked?
Yeah, well, the rules that I made for myself was, one, it had to be all done by foot. Two, we were only going to be able to drink and eat what we carried, which is, it's very minimal. And the reason why I made those two rules, was because I wanted to put myself in the position of the people in the north where they had to rely on help from other people to continue. And that's exactly what we had to do. The other rule that I had was basically couldn't spend any money. We couldn't spend any personal money. We had to rely on people, and that meaning a place to sleep. So we did a lot of sleeping outside, finding places to sleep outside.
That's crazy, Ensign. I read your blog for your whole journey there, and correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anywhere it mentioned anything where, like, was there a case where you were so desperate for like food or water that, you know what I mean, like you were just on the brink where you just needed something or anything like that? Were there some extreme lows on your walk that you experienced?
Yeah, there were extreme lows. That was one of the times where we didn't eat for 3 days because we had no food. And I've been through that before on this pilgrimage that I do, so it wasn't something that really was like a drastic situation for me. It was something I've been through. It was harsh though. It's always harsh not being able to eat, especially when you're walking 12 to 16 hours a day and you need the energy, you need the fuel to keep going. There were times like that. There were times where we couldn't find places to sleep. There were times when typhoons were headed our way and we had nowhere to go. There were some crazy times. I'll probably come out with a book on that next year sometime.
That's awesome. But did you find, between you and Mike, lots of pictures were posted of, things that people had given you and just the people that you met along the way. Did you find that people were really receptive, really willing to assist, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it was incredible. We had people take us in to their houses, all three of us, and feed us, give us warm blankets, wash our clothes for us, set up the bath for us. I mean, it was incredible. Some of the stuff these people would do. There was actually a time when we were stuck in Nagoya when we got hit by a real big typhoon and we literally couldn't walk. And we were lucky enough that the night before there was a guy named Hiro who put us up in his house, and he asked us if we're going to walk in the typhoon. I said, I don't know if we can. He said, what are you guys going to do? And I was hoping we could stay another night because it was like we couldn't really walk on that in the typhoon. It was really dangerous. And he goes, hey, why don't you guys stay another night? And I was like kind of hesitant, like, I don't want to impose myself. And he goes, well, the UFC's on. We can watch the UFC and you guys stay for another night. And I was like, oh God, that's a sign. We got
actually, just another thing I had about the walk. You mentioned, again, I got this off your blog. You mentioned that you met your very first ref, I believe.
I met the ref that ref my Igor Vovchanchin fight.
Yes, that's it. Now, we'll get into that a little later. I know that was a rough fight for you. Yeah. Yeah, I know. You know what? I just want to put it on record. I have no idea. I cannot even relate to what you've been through, or with the fighting and stuff. So I'm not like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. No, I don't know at all. So, but yeah, no, you met your ref, the very first ref. Sorry, for Igor there, and like what are the odds of something like that happening? Did he get word of it through publicity maybe or something? Like he met you in Japan randomly. That's insane.
Yeah, he was on a bike actually, and I don't even know where he's from. I don't even know where he lives. And he was actually on a bike going somewhere, and we were actually walking on the other side of the street, and he recognized me and U-turned to say hi. That's incredible, huh?
That's crazy.
That's wild. That's wild. But the one thing is you said to him, thank you for not stopping that fight.
Yes.
And that leads into some things that you say earlier that I've started, like I said, we watched a lot of videos and stuff, but you mentioned that the heart doesn't kick in until when the fight looks like it's over. Can you explain that? Because when things aren't going my way, my heart shuts down. like totally. No,
and let's hold up because we mean like in sport jiu-jitsu. We don't.
Yeah, we mean in jiu-jitsu. Like someone passes my guard, I'm like, oh, hope is lost. But how do you explain that in like an MMA scenario where it's literally life or death?
Well, I think it's a view that you take. It's the point of view, the way you look at things. Yeah, like for me, a lot of people when things start getting rough and when say the heart starts getting tested, most normal people would start worrying and start saying stuff like, holy shit, I'm running out of stamina. Holy shit, I hope I last around. They'll glance over it at the time. I look at it in a little different light where I see it as right on. Pretty soon there's be a chance to test my heart. This is where I build my heart, So it's like an opportunity to build my heart whenever I hit those positions, those situations.
So do you think it's kind of important for everybody, whether like whatever kind of sport or combat sport they're in, that it's important, like that's how people can build their heart? It's not something that they're born with, or like what are your views on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be aware that it will build your heart, and then you have to be willing to take it on. I mean, it depends. Yeah, it depends what you want to do in life. I mean, if you want to become a stronger man, a stronger person throughout your life, I mean, you have to hit these opportunities head on. I mean, if you're happy with the man you are, if you're happy with what you are, and you don't think you need to and grow for the things that you are doing in your life, then so be it. Tap out. What the hell? No big deal. It's not a big thing.
So you kind of look at it as an opportunity versus hardship, then.
Yes, exactly. And I look at it like this. Okay, in my lifetime, I'm getting pummeled by Igor, or I'm running out of stamina in a jiu-jitsu match. I mean, whether a position maybe you might be in, and I look at it like, is this going to be the roughest thing that I face in my life? I'm going to eventually someday raise a family. I'm going to have a kid. There's going to be ups and downs with that. Is there possibly a time where I'm going to be facing something way heavier, way harder to deal with in my lifetime? And I answer that yes. Yeah, I believe there will be something harder than that. And when that day comes, I want to be sure that I'm going to be as ready as I can to face it like a man head on. And I feel like getting pummeled by Igor, of course, it's a pretty grim situation. But
Yeah.
I mean, if I cop out in the situation and get the easy way out and leave the fight, tap out, or get out of it, who am I to say that when the situation comes up where it might be a life and death situation for the girl that I love, or the son that I have, or the boys, my children, who's going to say that I'm going to be able to stand up and take the blows one by one head on? I want to be ready as much as I can. I know there's going to be a situation that I'm not going to be ready for. I need to be as ready as I can, and I take these situations as opportunities. And if it happens tomorrow, I'll be happy I didn't tap out with Igor. I mean, you don't know when something doesn't happen where it's going to depend on the strength of your heart to continue to save your life, save someone you really care for.
So, Enson, is that kind of like, this is like, I don't know. Like Ahmed said, it's hard to comprehend, that level of dedication. But is that, in that moment, in that fight with Igor, is that kind of what's running through your mind? Are you finding that you have to, like, you're really having to dig deep to continue through that, or I guess what's going through your head at that moment?
Well, see, you gotta rewind that. Before I even step into the ring, in the 3 months of hard training, it's something that I already have set a precedent on my mind that I have to do as well. How I'm gonna fight this fight, I already have that set. That I at the moment in the fight, I'm not actually in a deliberation of, okay, what I'm gonna do. This is a chance. I already have accepted that I'm gonna fight this to the end. I'm gonna take, if it gets that bad, it's gonna be an opportunity to get stronger. And the focus just is in a whole different area. And when I'm training for a fight, the mindset that I get isn't set at the fight. It's set through all the hard training. It's set through all the dieting, the training, the injuries that I get during training, the injuries before the fight, the weight loss, everything, it's set in that time. It's a mindset, yeah.
In that situation, are you reacting, or are you actually thinking about technique in those moments?
Well, see, what happens is, to explain that really well is a good question. Is I always get asked is about tapping out. I've never tapped out in a fight. And it's a lot of people. The normal thing that everyone thinks is it's a tough thing. This Enson's a tough guy. He doesn't feel pain. He's not afraid of shit. But you know what? Tell you the truth, man. I feel pain like you do, and I shit bricks like you guys do too. It's the same thing. I get scared. I feel pain. I mean, I get worried about things. But the big difference in that is the mindset that I have created. The mindset that I created walking into a fight. For example, if there's a normal fighter that doesn't have a mindset, just goes in and trains and goes to the fight, if he gets into a critical situation like an armbar, because of his mindset, there are two things that's going to pop up into his head, two options. One will be tap out. Say he gets into a straight armbar. One option is going to be tap out or get your arm broke. Anybody, even me, if that two options popped into my head, it's your arm broke or tap out, I'm going to tap out. Hell yeah, I'm not going to get my arm broke. But because of the mindset that I have this mindset that I train with, that I'm willing and ready to die in the fight, and I'm have a positive mindset where when I hear my arm popping, two options that pop into my head is you're gonna get your arm broke or get the fuck out of the hold.
Shit. All right. No, and so just on that same topic about the fears that you know, just like everyone else, you said you feel pain, you have you shit bricks, for example. Everything that you said there. There's a moment. I mean, many people watch you on Joe Rogan podcast, and one thing you mentioned was you would actually write letters. And I mentioned this to you on Facebook when I was trying to get you on board. But you actually would write letters to your family or loved ones. I don't believe you sent them out, but I think you wrote them in case you died in the ring. Like, can you explain that? Can you explain that? Because that blows my mind. Totally blows my mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like fighting is your livelihood. You know, it puts puts food on your table. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. Can you explain that? I don't know. But none of us here understand that at all, and we never will.
Well, I've accepted in my heart that whenever I fought, I knew I was going to give everything in the ring. I was going to give everything that I had, and a broken arm, let alone a broken arm or being choked out, unconscious. You know, that death was even accepted in my heart when I went into the ring. I accepted the fact that I was going to die, and if I was going to give 100% in every fight that I fought in, death was definitely a chance of it happening. You know, back in the day, they didn't stop the fight because the guy throws 20 punches from the mount position and you're blocking half of them, but they'll stop the fight because he's not intelligently defending himself. Back in the day where I fought, the fights continued. Fights didn't stop. You know, so it was also, you know, it was something that actually could happen, death. You know, and it's something that I really accepted in my heart. And I when I walked into the ring, I felt like that was going to be the last day that I was going to see the earth, you know. And it was a funny thing because I would get the feeling like when somebody were to come to me like a week before the fight and say, hey, say I fight on the 20th, and they go, hey, on the 24th there's a big party, you know, come check it out. I would say, oh, yeah, and I'll be thinking in my head, man, damn, I'd be really happy if I'm still going to that party because I mean I had made it through the fight, you know. So in my heart, I accepted the fact that I was going to die in the ring, and I was ready to die in the ring. And to prove that, you know, I really felt that the biggest worry I had about dying was leaving the people that I really loved behind, people that were important to me, and having them, you know, suffer because of my death. So I wanted to, you know, make a closing and make sure that there's some things that I didn't tell some of the people that I really thought was really close to me that was important, and I would put it in letters that at least, you know, there's a farewell, there's things I want to tell these people that I'll be able to tell in the letters. And I would always have them hidden in the house that I know that if I passed and they went through my stuff, they would find all the letters. And if I didn't pass away in the ring, then I would that night I would go home, I would burn all the letters. They would never see them. And every time I fought, there'd be a different set of letters. You know, as time passes, things change, different things you want to tell these people. New people pop into your life, and I would write letters to everyone every single fight. I was ready to die. No bullshit.
No.
Did being prepared to die make surviving and victory inside the ring that much easier?
Well, being prepared to die, what it did for me was, one, the negative things it did for me was there was a lot of stress I had to deal with going into the ring. I mean, imagine this. Imagine God telling you, okay, you see that park over there? There's a chance you're going to die tonight in that park. What is your normal reaction? Stay the hell away from that park. Right? I mean, just imagine having to go to that park on your own will. Going to that park and accepting that you're going to die, accepting that you're going to walk there, and you know, it's a stressful situation, man. You know, just knowing that there's a chance that you're going to die there and accepting it in your heart, it's really stressful for me. You know, and, you know that I had that belief and I had that way of thinking in the fight, and you know, it was stressful for me. What was the question again?
No, you answered it. You answered it.
Yeah, no, that was good.
No, you answered for sure.
Okay.
And Enson, in today's MMA, like, I don't want you to mention names because I don't want you to, like, people, I'm not trying to stir up anything like that, but I just wondering, do you think that mentality exists in today's MMA to what it's evolved to since the days of when you used to fight? I mean, back when you used to fight, it wasn't necessarily for the money. There wasn't as much money as there is today. So like, do you see people maybe fighting that way of your style as well, like for honor to the death possibly, if it came down to it, or is that lost?
I think there are fighters that fight that way still, but there's very few. But I do not frown on those fighters that don't fight that way because look at the incentives nowadays. Back when I was fighting, there was no money. There was no big pay-per-view event. There was no sponsors that would pay you thousands of dollars to wear their stuff. There was no $1 million paychecks. It was a thing that when we fought, it was for honor. It was for testing ourselves in the ring. And nowadays people ask me, does it disappoint you that people don't fight for honor anymore? But it's hard. It's hard. You got every win-loss is a chance you might get cut from the UFC. If you lose a fight, you might not get sponsors. The fight money is different. I mean, the fame's there if you win. You got movie stars, movie stars that you watch in the movies, coming and watching UFC. I mean, the whole motivation is set different. And am I disappointed? Well, in a way, I wish more fighters would fight like that. But then I don't blame them for not, because there's so much on the line for a win and a loss. For us, when we won and lost, it was just the paycheck really didn't change for us, and we made peanuts anyway. So when we lost, it was just like a blow, a personal ego blow. You just got your ass beat by another dude. That's basically what it was. But here it's like you're talking a livelihood, you're talking a salary, you're talking sponsorship, you're talking a whole your career pretty much.
Do you think it has a lot to do with, like, for example, pride? The way it was back then, and pride is like people genuinely were fans of you, win or lose, regardless. If you went out there and fought, you're a fan. You could be #1, star in commercials, you were a superstar. Whereas in the UFC, like you said, oftentimes 2 fights and you're out. Like, you're usually out, you go fight a couple minor league matches or whatever, you come back. Do you think it's that? Do you think it's a cultural thing, maybe?
Well, no, I don't believe so. I think Dana, they get rid of some fighters after 2 fights and stuff. I mean, it's like I don't think there's a set precedent on that. I mean, of course they have this thing where you lose 3 fights, your chance of you getting cut. I mean, a good chance you lose 2 fights in a row, you're not a good fighter. But I mean, I believe that the reason why that's becoming a precedent is because the set and norm for the fighters now is, they fight for money, they fight for fame, they're not fighting for honor, they're not fighting for pride. So, these fighters, when they get pushed to the point, they break. A lot of them break. I mean, I really can honestly say, if I fought in the UFC today at the time when I was in my prime, and I lost 3 fights in a row, I doubt Dana would cut me, because I would put it all on the line every fight, and I would fight my heart out, and Dana would appreciate that. I believe he would. So I don't think it's a precedent that's been set, but I believe it's because of the situation we're in. I mean, I look at the fights today, and although there is so much money in the fighting game today, and there's so much sponsorship and everything, I'm glad I didn't grow up in this day, because Enson Inoue was made after they stop all these fights today. I mean, whenever I see this fight coming on, this guy's taking a beating, and I look and say, okay, now we're going to be able to see if this guy got hurt. Boom, the ref stops the fight. It's over. Yeah. So I believe that I was lucky to grow up in the time that I was growing up. Igor's fight would have been stopped earlier. Heath Hearing's fight that I had would have been stopped as soon as he torqued my arm backwards. You know what I mean? I mean, I would never have been able to show the heart that I have. I would be just a normal fighter that just got his ass kicked a lot,
So, Enson, does this tie into, your nickname. So Yamato Damashi, like, does that tie into it? Like, is that part of how that came to be, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, well, Japanese people gave me that name, Yamato Damashi, and they gave me that name because I fought with all my heart, and I fought. I think they could sense that I was actually willing to die in the ring, and that's the way the samurai would fight, you know. And I mean, people misinterpret the word Yamato Damashi. It's not about being tough. It's not about not feeling pain. It's about being a human being, having fears, feeling pain, but still working through it. It's a big difference.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Again, maybe a little lag there. Ensign, just another question about the Shamrock fight. Good fight, like amazing fight. I know it happened, happened a while back, but on Sherdog, it has it listed as a DQ due to your brother running in. I mean, I saw in the fight footage, I saw a little something like that happening, but I don't. Yeah, it was a little confusing at the end there. So was it a DQ or what? What was the story there?
Well, it was officially a DQ because they had that stupid rule that when you get knocked down standing, you get the 8 count. And I think the referee was about to make the 8 count, and Shamrock continued to hit. And so Egan saw that, and as the ref was trying to stop Shamrock from hitting me anymore, Egan already ran the ring, and instead of warning Frank, he had to stop Egan, and it became a DQ.
Okay. So, okay, I see. So sorry, there was a standing 8 count back in those days then.
And they're pretty.
Yeah, it's a stupid rule. I mean, if you get a standing 8 count standing, I believe on the ground, if you're getting mount punched, you should get a standing 8 count on the mount punch too. It's a real stupid rule that luckily they've done away with. But for me, I don't consider it a DQ. There's a chance I could have gotten up with the 8 count, but also I hate the rule of the standing 8. So do away with that rule, and Frank could have continued and hit me when I wasn't recovered 100%. So if there wasn't a standing 8 count rule, he would have been able to just knock me harder and probably finish the fight anyway. So for me, the officials call it a DQ. I call it a KO.
Okay. All right. No, sounds good. Sounds fair. Adam, did you want to? We have a couple of questions for some listeners. Is it okay if we, go with those?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. So Ensign, we have just a couple questions just from some people who are listening. So, and I'll read them off to you, and you answer them as best you can. So one is from somebody named L. Gimblor. Okay, and all he wants to know is, Ensign, you have fought the who's who of the earlier days of MMA. How has the role of BJJ in MMA evolved since the early UFC Pride days? So in summary, how has BJJ changed in mixed martial arts back when you fought compared to how it's fought today?
Well, I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a lot better. It's a lot more complex. It's a lot more aggressive. There's a lot more moves and more positioning that you can do things. I think it's evolved into a better thing because so many people know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now. So many, wrestlers have black belts. So kickboxers have black belts. And there's so many people that are so good at Jiu-Jitsu now. I think the sport has evolved to become a way more complex, more technique, more everything than it was in the past.
Okay, no, thanks. So again, that was El Gimblor. Thanks for submitting your question. Just another question is from Josh Bogle, saying, Ensign, when you were fighting, did you have a pre-fight ritual? I know you touched on this a little bit about the letters and whatnot. Something that helped him focus and get ready, or did he just jump in and fight? So any rituals, any game planning at all, or was it just, just go in there and give it your, and fight hard?
Well, the only pre-fight ritual that I had was just those letters that I would
Yeah.
write, those goodbye letters that I would write to the people that I really cared about.
Hmm.
Other than that, the only ritual that I had was the 3 months of training that I did prior to the fight is to give 110% every day. That's it.
Okay. Okay. It's like, because today's MMA, it's all about watching watching tapes, forming game plans, working against working avoiding your opponent's strengths and whatnot. So I wasn't sure if you guys did that back in the day, if you would watch a lot of tape on your opponent and tweak your game accordingly.
Oh yeah, I did. I did some studies on the opponent. I was aware of his strengths, aware of my strengths, and where I could actually put it to use against this certain opponent. Yeah, I did do that. And the day of the fight, of course, with all that in mind, with all that training to use the strengths that I have against this person, of course, yeah, it was all in mind. But basically, give 110% no matter what was the rule that I had.
Sounds good. So Enson, listen, we're coming up at midnight at our time, which should be about 7 o'clock your time there. So we just want to give you an opportunity to maybe let us know of any projects you have going on. I know you mentioned a book coming out maybe next year. Is there anything else you'd like to do? Shout out to any sponsors, maybe, upcoming things.
No, not really. Just that I'm going to continue my missions up north. Going to an orphanage in April. My book's coming out probably at the middle of this year, and I want to thank all my people I call brothers. The people that are a part of my family. I got a lot of guys. A lot of guys that I trust as brothers, and I call family. Got guys, Leonard in Washington. I got Barrett Yoshida in San Diego. I got Mike Martel in Canada. I got all my friends, all over. I want to just thank them for being brothers, man. I have the Yamatamashi Itsuku for life, man.
That's amazing.
Enson, just a couple quick questions, because for anybody who follows you on Instagram, so you're posting a lot of pictures of bracelets. What's that all about? Are these bracelets that you're making?
Yeah, I'm actually making one as we speak. It's called.
Nice.
I have a company called Destiny Forever, and it's power bracelets and power stones that actually it actually helps people with energy, illnesses, arthritis, and I personally make them all myself. You go to my website destinyforever.com. There's a lot of it. There's a story about me. There's a lot of media stuff on me. You can check it out. And these proceeds help me move up north to help the people up north. So when you're buying a bracelet, you're not just getting a really nice bracelet made by me with my energies in them. You're getting something that will help, and you're actually being a part of the missions that I do up north.
So is that something that can people buy those online, or is that just something that you're doing just kind of in person?
Yeah, they can go to destinyforever.com, and they can order online. We ship to anywhere in the world.
Awesome. The other question I had, Enson, from your Instagram, you post a lot of pictures of this guy. You call him the Stalker Lau. What's that guy's story?
Dude, that guy comes in to where I sell bracelets here in Ala Moana, and there's a little booth that I have, and this guy I call him Stalker because he'll come in and he'll be like across the mall peeking at me around the bookshelf. And then he'll come a little closer. He'll come a little closer and he'll look at me, and until I meet eyes with him, he won't come and say hello, but he's basically a huge fan, and he just comes by and tries to sneak looks at me. And then he'll if I catch eyes, he'll come in and he'll ask me to sign a DVD he bought. It's pretty cool, I call him Stalker Law because he comes in, and I've actually pretended not to see him, and he'll literally walk around for 30 minutes peeking at me from different angles until I meet eyes with him.
Yeah, well, we have stalkers like that all the time. But yeah, no, Enson,
Yeah,
thank you
gotta
very
be my
much.
luck.
Oh.
Gotta be my luck to get someone like that.
Yeah, yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
Listen,
Not a
yeah,
cute
guys,
chick.
Enson. Yeah, Enson, it's been so awesome having you on. I think it's you know, a lot of kind of pretty heavy discussion, right? We're four jiu-jitsu guys, and you know, like Ahmed kind of alluded to earlier, you know, you get swept from half guard, and you're like, oh, my life is over, right? And
Yeah.
It's just like it's on a whole nother level. So it's been awesome just to hear you talk about that mindset and the mentality and preparing for a fight and a real fight, right? That you know, I think it can definitely transfer over and maybe give us a bit of a shot in the arm. So we really do appreciate that, and thank you so much for coming on.
And Enson, also, just to clarify, like I've always been telling people in our jiu-jitsu community, a lot of people try to tell me that jiu-jitsu is a fight. They always say it. They're always telling me like, oh, I had 4 fights today, or you know, oh, I'm fighting today. And then I'm like, hold on. You're doing jiu-jitsu. You're not fighting. And like your stories prove that. You know what I mean? Like they're not fighting. You fought. But we just roll around and you know. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you guys, man.
Yeah, Enson, listen, it's been an absolute honor to have you on. Thank you so much. I'm glad we were able to connect and kind of work through the technical difficulties. So thank you so much for bearing with us. Is there anything else you wanted to say, kind of parting words before we shut down?
Yeah, thank you to you guys for you know, pursuing and help promoting MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. I thank the fans that support Jiu-Jitsu. Thank the promoters that promote Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, and MMA, because without MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, I would probably be just another Joe Bill working a 9-to-5 office job. You know, so Jiu-Jitsu and MMA has made my life what it is, and I'm really appreciative. I do these podcasts because I want to give back, and I'd like to thank you guys for helping promote the best sport in the world.
Thank you, Bigos.
Yeah, thank you so much, Enson. So, yeah, that wraps it up for episode 23 of Just the Gi Top podcast. Thank you so much, Enson, and have a good night, everybody.